guys, it's another part. Yay. This will be the last one I'll film for this evening, because I've been filming the, well, you guys could probably tell by the outfit and stuff. So, yeah. Chapter 21, which is called Pie Shop Confrontations. This is a Mrs. Lovett chapter, so I'll be reading the chapter in Susan's voice. Let's read the author's note. I told everyone not to yell at me for downing myself yesterday, and I got yelled at anyway. Maybe I should tell you all to yell at me when I down myself. Reverse psychology. Anyway, enjoy chapter 21. So let me get this straight. Younger me did not like it when people told her to stop downing herself. Are you kidding me? I'd rather have people yelling at me to stop downing myself than have people write these harassing articles about me on the internet, or leave very unflattering and mean comments. I mean, that's how the internet works, but geez, I don't think younger me could handle that pressure. I think she'd have probably leave the internet entirely if she saw some of the stuff that people have said about me these days. But then again, you know what? You can't please everyone. And she'd probably get upset if she saw my own critique of this, but hey, I'm just saying it as it is. Frankly, I don't understand why people like this story anyway. Say if it's downing if you want, but the story's not really that good. It's not the worst thing I've read, don't get me wrong, but it's still pretty bad, especially seeing I do, in the future, from this, start doing a web show where I critique fan fiction. I come across as a hypocrite in my past stories. But hey, it's part of growing up. And it's part of developing your skills as a writer, I suppose. For shits and giggles, I might do a reading of the one fanfic I actually posted on my fanfic critic account on fanfiction.net. I need to update that account because I think I still have that account mentioned the net dwellers and stuff like that. Which net dwellers has been gone for like a year now. Okay then, let's get on with this chapter. It's been 2 weeks since the judge got his guts cut out by Mr. Todd, and I think I'm well enough to work again. I carefully get out of bed. I'm still pretty sore between my legs. Bloody bugger. At least he's dead. I make my way down to the kitchen and start breakfast. To no surprise, Mr. Todd comes down soon after, giving me a stern look. You should be in bed, he says to me as he crosses his arm. Where am I? His daughter. I've been in a bleeding bed for 2 weeks, Mr. Todd. I think I am well enough to work. I am well enough to work and move about. I say to him as I start the eggs. I see him keeping his gaze on me as he sits down in one of the booths. I inwardly sigh, and as I continue my cooking, later on Toby comes down from the shop and gives me the exact same stern look that Mr. T gave me when he came down. You should be in bed, Mum, he states plainly. I give him my own stern look. Sulking slightly, Mr. Toby sits beside an equally sulking Mr. Todd. No matter what age, men can be such babies. I have to laugh when I see the two of them sitting next to each other. Ever since that unfortunate incident, they seem to be bonding very well. When I finish cooking, we sit down at the table together and eat. Of course, the day that I decide to come back to work happens to be the busiest day of the week. Well, at least the customers are being nice for once. They seem to be leaving more tips, too. Well, I know that in a few days, the novelty will wear off and they'll act like their usual uncaring selves again. For now, they'll forgive me for my slowness due to the pain I'm in, so I might as well enjoy their kindness while I can. Mum, we're out of pies. Toby calls to me. All right, dear, be back in a tick, I say to him as I serve the last pie on my tray. Mum, I'll get the next batch for you, he offers. Normally I'd say no, but I nod and watch him go to the shop's interior to get more pies. I don't know if I'm ready for those bloody stairs yet. Hello, Eleanor, says an overly cheerful and phony voice from behind me. Oh, bollocks, it's Lucy. Reluctantly, I turn and face her, slightly cringing as she smiles at me with that phony politeness. I notice that the shop quiets down considerably when she makes her appearance now. Hello, I say coolly. She's the last person I want to see right now, seeing she's partly responsible for what the judge did to me 2 weeks ago. I do hope that you're feeling better, my dear friend, she drawls. I know what she's trying to do, and I'm not falling for it this time. I'm perfectly fine. Now, excuse me. When I go to pass her, she puts her leg in the way and causes me to trip. I fall harshly to the ground. Oh, Eleanor, you've always been so clumsy. Let me help you. She roughly pulls me to my feet. The little stick is stronger than she looks. I angrily pull myself out of her grasp. Unless you're here for a pie, beat it. I growl quietly so the other customers won't hear me. I won't leave until I get what I want, Eleanor, she replies with that sickeningly sweet voice. Well, Lucy, what do you want? I ask her impatiently. Where's Judge Turpin, she asks. I keep my glare on her as I smile very slightly. Why would I know where he is? I ask her coolly. She returns the glare and smiles that a little too pleasant for me tastes. Why, you were the last person to see him, Eleanor. You couldn't have missed him, seeing he was last seen shagging you like the hole you are. I tense up considerably in a deep rage. At this point I find it very, very hard to control my rage. Well, if he was seen by someone, he'd be in jail right now for doing what he did, I said very quietly. Not quite, Eleanor. You forget that he's good friends with my husband, Beetle, she replies coolly. I don't know where the honorable judge is, Mrs. Bamford, so beat it, I growl. No, I think not, Eleanor, she replies, taking a step closer to me. She pauses suddenly when she notices someone behind me. You heard, Mrs. Lovett, said Mr. Todd's voice from behind. Leave here, Mrs. Bamford, unless you came for a pie. Sneering, Lucy turned and quickly left the patio. All the customers clapped when she finally left. I turn and look up at Mr. Todd as he watches her go. He has the deadliest glare that I've ever seen on his face as he watches her. When she's out of sight, he looks down at me. The glare is quickly replaced by concern and tenderness. Are you all right? He asks softly. I'm quite fine, I say to him. Seeming satisfied, he turns and heads back up to the shop. Moments later, Toby comes up with the next batch of pies. Like the incident never happened, I start to serve more pies to the hungry customers. Thanking the gods that tomorrow was Sunday, I settle down on my armchair in the parlor and pick up the current book that I'm reading. It takes me a moment that you realize that there are eyes watching me. I look up to my book to see Mr. Todd standing in the doorway. He quickly makes his way across the room to me. Before I can protest, he scoops me up in his arms and starts to carry me up to my room. Mr. Todd, what the bloody hell are you doing? I squeak as we head up the stairs. You need to rest because you're not well, he says plainly as he kicks my door open. Gently, he lays me down on the bed and takes a seat in the armchair beside me. What, are you going to stay up here all night so I won't sneak back downstairs? I ask him as I sit up. Firmly but gently, he shoves me back down to the bed. Sleep, he orders. I give him an annoyed look. Can I at least change into my nightdress? After a moment of thought, he gets up and leaves the room. It takes me a while to unclothe myself, seeing I'm still sore. Cursing quietly, I take off my blading dress and carefully slip on my nightdress. Okay, I call to him. He immediately comes into the room and sits on the armchair. I give him a look. I promise I'll go to sleep. Go to bed, Mr. Todd, I say to him. I'm staying down here with you, he says firmly. Sighing, I get under the covers and blow out the candle. Are you sure you're comfortable in that chair? I ask him. Go to sleep. Stubborn man. At least he cares. Smiling slightly, I close my eyes and drift off to the sound of Mr. Todd's steady breathing. This chapter was wonderful. I really loved this chapter. Honestly, though, I loved having Sweeney give Lucy the death glare. That was my favorite part of this lovely chapter. Reviews are lovely, too. Oh my god, my author's notes are so freaking annoying. And I was watching some older episodes of Fanfic Critic today just for shits and giggles. God, they're bad. They're so fucking bad. I'm currently in the middle of watching the Belmont 2500. It wouldn't be a trilogy because it's like 5 fanfics altogether. It was like episodes 77 through 81. That's interesting to watch because it is kind of fun. But at the same time, it's like, ugh. Oh well. Let's read this next chapter. Chapter 22, The Confession. This will be a Sweeney Todd chapter. I got distracted by my cat. He's so cute. Okay, let's read the author's note. I'm sorry for my absence, folks. I was dog sitting for my grandparents for a couple of days, so I didn't get to update. I did bring my laptop to their house in hopes of updating, but I couldn't connect to the internet because they don't have the same internet as I do. I'm sorry. Apparently younger me does not know about certain codes to access the internet, but oh well. Why didn't I just use their computer and just update from there? Oh well. Sweeney Todd. The Beatles smiled at me as he closed the door to my shop. It took him 3 weeks since the disappearance of the judge to finally show his slimy face here. I smile pleasantly as he removes his coat and hangs it by the door. What can I do for you today, sir? I ask politely as I can muster. A haircut and a shave, sir. He answers as he casually sits down in the barber's chair. I try not to scowl as I fetch my razor. Patiently, I sharpen it to its sharpest. I smile at my reflection before I approach the beetle from behind. Has the great Judge Turpin been located, sir? I ask him calmly. No, I'm afraid. He answers, although he doesn't sound like he really cares. Filth. I slowly slit the beetle's throat. You'll be seeing him quite shortly, I say calmly as I finish the job. I watch with satisfaction as his body plummets to the bakehouse below. With a triumphant sigh, I clean my razor and change my shirt. Shortly after, Eleanor comes up with lunch. Brought you some stew today, she says as she enters my shop. I turn and take the bowl of stew from her. Thank you, pet, I say calmly. She gives me a skeptical look. You're in a merry mood, Mr. T, she says to me softly. I love it when she calls me Mr. T. It's so sweet of her. Let's just say you'll be serving beetle tomorrow, I reply with a slight grin. I see Eleanor's face light up with delight the second I say this. It's about time he finally showed up. You finally did it, Mr. Todd, Eleanor exclaims happily, running over and hugging me tightly. I stiffen up slightly in surprise, but I quickly relax and put my arms around her. Yes, I did, I say softly, very grateful that my revenge is finally complete. Well, I gotta get back to work. See you in a tick. I watch as Eleanor disappears from my shop. I really wish she'd take more time to rest. I know that she's still in pain because of that pig, Turpin. I walk out of my shop and watch Eleanor serve hungry customers below. If only they knew what they were eating. I turn my attention to Toby. I'm quite shocked by how accepting he is about cooking people into pies. He acts like it's nothing severe. I find myself smiling as I head back into my shop. The both of them are bloody wonders. Eleanor and I are sitting in her parlor, both wielding a glass of fine gin. The judge and the beetle are finally dead. Now I can finally move on from my twisted past. There's only one thing that concerns me. It's Lucy. With her being tied to the beetle, she might start poking her nose around where it doesn't belong. I hate the woman, but I don't want to kill her if I don't have to. I guess it's part of my morals, I suppose. Mr. Todd, what are you thinking about? Eleanor asked me after a while. We need to be cautious of Lucy if she comes poking around, I answer after a minute of silence. I see Eleanor nod slowly as she takes a sip of gin. Then thinking the same thing. That little nit will probably suspect us when word comes out about the beetle. Little nit. Where does she come up with these names? I just hope that she doesn't go attacking you again, I say softly. Oh, don't worry about me, Mr. Todd. I can handle her with ease, she says to me. Chuckling slightly, I give her a serious look that silences her giggles. You're still weak from what the judge had done to you. She knows then she may take advantage of that information, I say firmly. Eleanor rests her head on my shoulder and sighs. I'll keep that in mind, dear, she says softly. I smile as I kiss her forehead. She snuggles closer as I place my arm around her waist. I love you, she says very softly. I feel her freeze before she looks up at me in complete shock. What was that? She asked me with her voice a bit higher than normal. I love you, I say again louder this time. Oh, Mr. Todd, she sighs as she melts in my grip. I smile softly as I kiss her cheek tenderly. You have always been there for me, and you've always cared for me, I say softly. I'm sorry for taking it all for granted. I feel her gently rubbing my hand tenderly as she kisses my cheek softly. It's all right, dear, it's all right. We stay cuddled on the couch for what seems like an eternity. When the fire finally gives out, we both head up to the second-floor apartment together. She carefully gets in her bed and I follow. I know she's still in pain, so I'll stay with her to comfort her. When the time is right, we'll both do what we should have done years ago. I wrap my arms around her gently as I feel her go with the same... Do you mean? The same around my waist. I love you too, Mr. Todd. She sighs as she buries her head in my chest. I know. I whisper as I pull her closer. This is the happiest moment of my life. The judge and the beetle are dead, and I'm holding the one most dear to me in my arms. I smile contently as I start to drift into a pleasant slumber. My bloodthirst has finally been quenched, and my daughter is safe and sound with her lover. For all I know, they could be halfway across the globe right now. All I know is that Joanna is far away from this filthy city. What makes me very happy. That makes me very happy. Eleanor is already asleep. I can feel her steady breathing against my chest. Nothing can ruin my happiness now. What could go wrong? Oh geez, that's foreshadowing right there. Yeah, sweetie, when you say what could you go wrong, I mean something bad's gonna happen. Oh my god, my author's notes are so fucking annoying. Alright, let's get this over with. Chapter 3, which is called Poor Mrs. Lovett. Thank you all for the great reviews. Enjoy chapter 23. Okay, let's get the Susan voice going. Day by day, I'm feeling slightly better. It does help that both the judge and the beadle are now dead, and that Mr. Todd has said that he loves me. Even Toby seems to be in a chipper mood. The customers at the pie shop still seem to be nice to me as well. I get up out of bed as I think these things. I smile when I see Mr. Todd sleeping beside me. He's so cute when he sleeps. All of his anger and sorrow seems to melt away as he sleeps. I carefully get out of bed so I won't wake him. I think I'll make a big breakfast for us today. While I'm cooking, I feel someone snaking their arm around my waist. I smile as they kiss the side of my neck. Morning, Mr. Todd, I say softly as I try to concentrate on cooking. Morning, pet, he says in his smooth and husky voice. I lean up against him, reaching my hand up to stroke his face. Sleep well, love, I ask him. Very well, he answers. For Pete's sake, get a room, you two, I hear Toby say from behind. I watch as Mr. Todd takes a seat beside Toby, ruffling his hair like an older brother teasing their younger sibling. Those two have gotten so close so quickly. Smiling, I bring our food to the table, and we begin to eat. The pie shop is rather busy for the lunch hour today. Oh well, more income for us, I suppose. Toby and I run around and serve the customers. When we're out of pies, I enter the interior of the shop and go and fetch more. I'm well enough to go down the bleeding stairs now. That doesn't mean I have to enjoy it. Ever since the confrontation between myself, Lucy, and Mr. Todd, the little knit hasn't shown her face since. Frankly, I was expecting to see her turn up after the beetle had gone missing. Maybe she believes the rumors that the judge and the beetle ran off together as gay lovers. Huh. When I come out with more pies, I see Mr. Todd sitting at one of the tables smiling. I walk over to him with a tray of pies in my hand. One pie or two, sir? I ask him. He looks at me and smiles knowingly. Two, please, he answers, as he hands me the proper amount of shillings. Now, dear, you know that you don't have to pay, I say to him quietly. I insist, he replies, stubborn man, and I give him 2 pies and take the money. I smile to myself as I pocket the coins. He'll find them up in his shop tomorrow morning. After serving the last batch for the afternoon, we close up the shop and prepare for the dinner rush. Christ's dinner is much busier than lunch. What? Is there a special event coming up or something? It's so busy that Mr. Todd decides to close his shop up early and come down and help us. Normally I reject his offer, however, this is a different matter. Tubby, get my ale in the parlor. I yell to my son over the crowd. He nods and dashes to the building. I watch Mr. Todd as he serves his pies. It's quite humorous to see a man as manly as him serving pies and Mrs. Lovett's meat as... What? He gives me a look when he sees me staring. I return the look with a grin before I tend to my customers. Mum, we're out of ale, Toby calls. We got plenty of gin, lad. Get that instead. The customers will be pleased, I call back. I see a look of horror on his face, but Mum, now, Toby, I yell firmly. Looking defeated, the boy goes back inside of the building. Bleeding Christ, I can always buy more of that stuff for him, even though I shouldn't. With a sigh, I go back to work. It took Toby twice as long to get the gin than it normally does for him to get the ale. Customers literally cheered when we started to serve the gin. At least it settled them down some. It doesn't take long for us to sell all the pies. The Great Leaf, we close, chop, and clean up. I was working down in the bakehouse with Mr. Todd butchering the latest body. I'm hoping that he'll stop killing people soon so he goes revenge. Well, at least the man we're butchering was a heartless pig. Be right back, love. I need to relieve myself, Mr. Todd says as he places his butcher knife down. I grin at him as he turns to leave. Don't fall in now, I call after him. I see the annoyed glance he casts at me before he stomps up the stairs. A minute later, I hear a ton of commotion going on upstairs. I hear an unfamiliar voices and Toby yelling. I quickly put my knife down and turned towards the entrance. Within a second, a group of policemen come barging in and spot me by the half-butchered body. Oh, bloody hell. They charge at me and hit me over the head with staffs as if I was resisting. I feel woozy as they start to drag me up the stairs. When we're up the stairs, I see Mr. Todd fighting with one of the officers, trying to get to me. I let out a cry when I see the bloke shove Mr. Todd down the stairs. Let go of me, I yell as I try to break free. I get rewarded with another blow to the head. As they drag me into the kitchen, I see Toby unconscious on the floor with a puddle of blood under his head. I try to break free to check on him. My efforts fail miserably as I get multiple blows to the head. The last thing I see before blacking out is a very smug Lucy standing at the entrance of my shop, smiling smugly as I lose consciousness. Mr. Todd to the rescue, anyone? How the hell did Lucy fit? Oh, whatever. Let's go and read chapter 24. Okay. This chapter is called, in capital letters, Really Living It. Gee, I wonder what's going to happen in this chapter. Alright then, I posted 2 chapters today. I usually only post 1 a day, but because Pandora Spock said she wouldn't update her story until I updated mine, I decided to make an exception today. Besides, this chapter is pretty wicked. Sweeney Todd. I am in pain. Lots of pain. Not only physically, but emotionally as well. I just watched the woman that I love be dragged up against her will. I start to get up, feeling very shaky. At that moment, I feel slender hands helping me to my feet. I turn to see Lucy smiling pleasantly at me. You had quite the fall, my love, she says sweetly. My eyes narrow angrily as I glare down at her. You are the one responsible for this, I state coldly. My dear, Eleanor had to be brought to justice for her crimes. She answers cheerfully. How the bloody hell did she know about the pies? I had a hunch about her cooking people into pies, or at least the judge and the beadle. I guess I was right. I'm sorry, but the justice system does not work like that. You can't just have a hunch and then go and arrest someone without a warrant. Unless things worked differently back then, but still. She answers as if reading my mind. I stare down at her in disbelief. It was me who killed the 2 of them, Mrs. Bamford. I did it as revenge for what they did to me, I say quietly as I try to control my rage. All Lucy does is smile sweetly at me. And I'm grateful for what you did, my wonderful Benjamin, she says softly as she reaches up and strokes my cheek. I am terribly confused. I pull away from her touch quickly. If you're so grateful, then why did you have Eleanor sent off? Why aren't you arresting me? I ask her hoarsely. All she does is smile very pleasantly and lovingly. Well, I had to put an end to the mysterious disappearances, and arresting her was the only way. Trust me, my love, you're better off without her. She's always been a bad influence on you. She places her arms around me and nuzzles her head into my chest. Besides, I didn't want you to be taken away from me again. Why do you have an unnecessary comma there? I've missed you so much, and I've hated the way I had to treat you, but now, because of you, I'm free. You're free. I see her looking up at me and smiling shyly. Come back to me, Benjamin, she whispers. My dear Lucy, you're a bloody wonder, eminently practical and yet appropriate as always, I say smoothly to her as I hold my hands out to her. She looks up at me, slightly confused. Let's dance to celebrate, I mutter. She grins and we start to dance around the bakehouse, getting closer and closer to the oven that was left wide open. Oh, I went there, didn't I? The history of the world, my pet. I guess he is supposed to be singing, so. The history of the world, my pet. Oh my love, say it to me, is learn forgiveness and try to forget. Me and you, my dear Ben, we shall be together. Oh my sweet, we'll rule the lower class together. That had absolutely no rhyme or rhythm to it at all. What was I thinking when I wrote that? And life is for the alive, my dear, so let's keep living it, just keep living it. Sayonara, you two-timing bitch. Really living it. With ease, I fling the little manipulator into the oven. I block out her screams as I close the door and lock it tightly. A fool, did she really think she could fool me that easily? Now, for more important matters. I run out to the bakehouse and find poor Toby out cold on the floor. Come on up. Come on. Come on. Come on, I know you want to. After I barricade all entrances, I think I need to switch the word the and all, have it say all the entrances to the shop. I tend to Toby's wound until he wakens. Ow. Or, oh, what happened? He mumbles as I help him sit up. The law took your mom, I answered gravely. Toby quickly jumps up, only to find himself collapsed on the couch again as he holds his head in his hands. Why? How could they? He wails softly as I gently hug him. Mrs. Bamford was the one responsible. I already dealt with her, I muttered darkly. Toby looks up in realization, but says nothing. I feel the boy hugging me tightly as he cries silently. They're going to kill her, Mr. Todd. They're going to hang her for putting people into pies. I stare ahead. Not if I can help it. I growl. Toby looks up at me and I look down at him. It's because of me that your mom's in jail, I say softly to him. So I'm going to be the one that breaks her out. Toby smiles slightly. You're going to need my help, sir, he says quietly. It'll be dangerous, I say to him. He gives me a look. The hell with danger. I'm helping you and there's no way you can convince me otherwise, he says stubbornly. I smile at him, seeing so much of his mother inside of him. Alright, but you need to rest a bit first. I need to get the needed materials to free your mom. I say as I get up. Toby grabs my sleeve. You'll be back soon, right? He asks me softly. Of course, now get some rest. I say as I turn to leave. In autopilot, I march down the streets of London until I find the place I'm looking for. I see a shaggy man at the counter eyeballing me as I approach. I want 2 of your best guns, I say calmly, but a hidden growl in my voice. You're going to need the right amount of money, sir, the man sneers in his squeaky voice. Impatiently, I pull out my coin purse, which is loaded with pounds. I drop them in front of the man, whose eyes are ogling at the purse. When he looks back up at me, I smile very politely at him. I'll also need your best bullets, too. Make it a lot of bullets. I add calmly. Hastily, the man gets out 2 exquisite-looking guns and 2 large bags of bullets. I take the items from him and turn away. Keep the change, I say lowly as I leave the shop. I have plenty of money back at the shop. So does Eleanor. We'll both need it when we get the hell out of this hellhole of a city. I hope you guys like that. Now, I know it was lame that I had Sweetie think, sayonara you two-timing bitch. I just had to write LOL. Please review. Someone please gag me with a spoon.
I know, Caddy, the story's so freaking bad. It's so bad. It's so bad.
It makes no sense. The logic of it is like... I'm so tempted to leave a review on it, which I probably will by the time I'm done doing this entire video series. Okay, here's the final chapter for this part. We're coming to America. A lot of the titles for the chapters are all song titles or song lyrics. In fact, the title of this story is a song title from Melissa Etheridge, and the story does not make any sense when it comes to the title of it. It's so stupid. Okay, let's read this chapter. I don't say it's in Mrs. Lovett format, but it is technically. I forgot to put that in, so. No author's note, thankfully. Here we go. Well, ain't this cozy now. I wooden board for a bed and a bucket to relieve myself in. I think I'm missing a word there. At least, it isn't my time of the month. I stand up and walk towards the bar with the window. Been in this place for a bloody week now. At least Miss Dawn isn't suffering the same fate as me. I know that I'm going to be killed for my crimes. The law doesn't take kindly to those who cook people into pies. How ironic. It's a beautiful full moon tonight. At least the last thing I'll see will be something as beautiful as the moon. I wish I could see my son and Mr. Todd one last time. The last images of them weren't very settling. What if Mr. Todd broke his neck when he fell down those stairs? What if Toby is in a coma for that brutal blow to the head? I feel a headache coming on, so I lie down on my couch, on my oh-so-comfortable bed, and try to get some sleep. I find myself waking up to the sounds of gunshots and shouting. Curious, I wonder if one of the other inmates managed to break out. Lucky them if they can pull it off. I sit up on my cot and listen to the commotion. It seems to be getting steadily closer to the cell I'm in. Finally, the shots stop. The next thing I hear is 1 or 2 people running towards my cell. I stay perfectly still as the 2 figures appear in front of my cell. They are both men and one shorter than the other. Eleanor, is that you? Says an all too familiar voice. Mr. Todd, I say quietly, not believing my ears. Toby, give me the keys. Mr. Todd says to my boy beside him, oh, thank God, they're both okay. When the doors are locked and open, I run over and hug Mr. Todd and Toby tightly. I was so worried about you two, I sobbed as I buried my head into Mr. Toby's chest. I hear him chuckling slightly. You've never worried about yourself, Eleanor, he says as he goes into the hallway. I smile at him and look to Toby, who's holding a gun. Toby, where on earth did you get that? I ask him. Mr. Todd bought it for us to break you out. He's got one too, Mum. Toby answers as we walk by the dead guards. You two have placed yourselves in great danger, I say to the two of them as we head out of the prison. Mr. Todd gives me a look as he helps me into the awaiting carriage outside. Toby gets in after me, and Mr. Todd takes the driver's seat. Driving like a madman, he gets us the hell away from the city of London. By morning, we arrive at the coastal town of Plymouth. Exhausted, the boy and I exit the carriage. We see Mr. Todd looking around as if he's searching for someone. Where's that blasted lad? I hear Mr. Todd mutter as he looks around the deserted dock. Out of nowhere, we see a young man who looks an awful lot like a lady running towards us. Bloody hell, that's Anthony. Oh, Mr. Todd, I was waiting all evening. Did everything go well? He asks as he gets to us, slightly out of breath. Yes, everything went fine, thank you, Mr. Todd answers. Well, we'll be on our way. We've got a cabin on the Bountiful that is ready for you. He says as he starts to lead us to his ship. Wait, we're leaving England. Wordlessly, we enter the Bountiful. Both Mr. Todd and I pause when we see a girl with long blonde hair on the deck watching us. Oh, this is Joanna, the girl that I freed from False Asylum with your help. Anthony says happily as he puts his arms around the girl. She smiles shyly at us. She may look a lot like her mother, but she is a true beauty and not a venomous snake. How do you do? She asks politely as she slightly bows. Bless her soul, she's she says, gentle and innocent as Ben was. I see Mr. Todd smile shyly at her. Toby grins as he shakes her hand. I smile and give her a small hug. Glad to see you well, dear, I say to her softly. She smiles back. Anthony beckons us to follow him into our cabin. It's not very big, but it'll do. So where are we sailing off to? I ask Anthony as we go to leave. He turns and grins at the lot of us. We're going to America, Mum, he says happily before leaving us. America, huh? That's on the other side of the globe and far away from London. That'll do us fine. I turn to face my boys. Toby is passed out on his cot, and Mr. Todd is watching me from the seat on her cot. I sit beside him, and we hug each other tightly. So, where are we going when we reach America? I ask him. There's a small peaceful town that I've heard about in the state of Massachusetts. It's called Royalston, and it's out in the woods. Royalston? Okay. He says softly, Royalston, eh? Sounds ideal. I've always wondered what it would be like to live out in the country. Talk about choosing a very obscure town to have the story take place in. That can't be helped, I suppose. It probably would have been more obvious if younger me had chosen a town like, I don't know, like Boston or something like that, or like New York City, so I guess I'll give myself brownie points for that. We're going to have to take a coach to get there, though, seeing that it isn't anywhere near the sea. He continues, well, that's for the best, I suppose. I smile as I lean up against him. Can we afford to buy a house? I ask him. He smiles at me. Trust me, we've got plenty of money for that, he says sweetly. I smile at him as we kiss. We both get settled in the bed, both of us chuckling because of how small it is. I wrap my arms around him and he does the same. I don't care where in the world we go, as long as I've got my family with me. Okay, that's the end of chapter 5. 12 more chapters to go. So, my plan is, the next part, well, the next few parts are probably still going to be, I guess I could do 6 chapters apart when I do the next filming. It's not going to be tonight because I'm not going to have enough memory on my computer. And I'm just tired. And I've been sitting in the same position for a while now, so yeah. Okay then, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for the next part. Actually, the final part's probably going to be a long rant, because I'm probably going to rant about this story, so I'll probably have it be, you know, every 5 chapters still, so that way the final part can just be me going. So yeah. Thank you all for watching. Have a nice night, and hopefully I'll have a better voice by the time I record.